characterized by unusually warm sea surface temperatures in the Pacific, causing severe climate changes throughout the globe. Stop. 1, go. How El Nino occurs. So this is the main process thought to produce El Nino. There is an elevation of the thermocline, causing the warm sea surface temperatures that should stay in the west to go over in the east. Stop. Okay. Normally, the trade winds and strong equatorial currents flow toward the west. At the same time, an intense Peruvian current causes upwelling of cold water along the west coast of South America. So here are some the El Nino conditions. Upon the advent of an ENSO event, the pressure over the eastern and western Pacific flip-flops. This causes the trade winds to diminish, leading to an eastward movement of warm water along the equator. As a result, the surface waters of the central and eastern Pacific warm, with far-reaching consequences to weather patterns. During an El Nino, the western Pacific gets decreased rainfall and gets droughts, whereas the eastern Pacific gets increased rainfall and has higher chances of flooding. El Nino annual rainfall totals in the western Pacific, which gets decreased rainfall. So in a non-El Nino year, 1980, they have had 644.2 millimeters of rain, whereas in 1982, which was an El Nino year, they had only 422.2 millimeters of rain. Annual rainfall totals for the eastern Pacific, an example would be LAX. So in a non-El Nino year, which was 1980, they had 5,489 millimeters. And in an El Nino year, they had 7,486 millimeters. So increased rain for the El Nino. Here is a comparison graph of the rainfall in El Nino year 1972. LAX, which is purple, and Melbourne, which is yellow. So this really tells the El Nino story because LAX had normal amounts of rain, but then in the last 3 months of the year, which is when El Nino usually starts, they had huge amounts. In Melbourne, when the El Nino started, had decreased rainfall, and in fact they had none in some months. Effects on sea life and productivity. It disturbs marine life and influences weather patterns. The fish live on plankton that thrives in colder water, so they go further out to sea where the El Nino has less influence. This causes fishermen to catch low numbers of fish during El Nino years. This is not 100% bad, as the fishermen can sense upcoming El Ninos early. Here are some El Nino versus La Nina conditions. La Nina is the opposite effect of El Nino. There are colder sea surface temperatures near the United States instead of warm ones, causing the opposite of El Nino. So, in the El Nino, there are warm temperatures in the upper parts of the United States, Canada, and Alaska. And in La Nina, there are colder temperatures, but not in exactly the same place. The dry area is bigger in La Nina than El Nino, and the warm area is lower down. Also, the wet area is smaller. Here are the weather effects on California. The effect of El Nino on California is increased rainfall with accompanying floods, landslides, and coastal erosion. It includes slightly warmer temperatures. It is easier to predict in Southern California than Northern California. Here are some past El Ninos. 1951, 1953, 1957 to 1958, 1965, 1969, 1972 to 1973, 1976, 1982 to 83, 1986 to 87, 1991 to 92, 1994, 1997, 2002 to 2003, 2006 to 2007, and 2009 to 2010. The countries least affected by El Nino are the northern Atlantic countries because they are far away from the equator, and that is where El Nino has the most impact. And the Central Asian countries are far away from the Pacific Ocean, which is, okay, the countries most affected by El Nino are Peru because it's right next to the Pacific equator. The same case with Ecuador, and Australia suffers from big droughts and forest fires. Countries near the Pacific equator are most affected. During El Nino, Atlantic hurricanes are weakened and sometimes blown apart by increased trade winds. In the past 98 years, there were 63 major hurricanes, and only 5 of them occurred during El Nino conditions. There are significantly less hurricanes during El Nino. Stop. Here are my predictions. What would happen to the coastal areas if an El Nino formed off the coast of Africa? Because El Nino usually causes droughts in the western Pacific, if an El Nino developed on the African side, the eastern Atlantic, the coastal areas of North America would be the equivalent of the western Pacific. So there would be droughts, and on the African side there would be flooding. Here are the economic effects. When there is an El Nino, it typically destroys things, causing huge repair costs from physical damage. The fishing business near Ecuador and Peru is ruined, and agriculture is destroyed. So go. The next El Nino. Because of the historical pattern that El Ninos occur every 4 years, the next El Nino should happen this year, 2014 to 2015.